So, all right, we're working on the weekend here, of course, and the idea is to really track down kind of the big whales of what's happening in the gaming space and why blockchain gaming will be the center, maybe the epicenter of the universe soon. My name is Barron. Welcome back to Tech Path. If you guys have been watching our channel, and really I think all things crypto, everybody's keeping a very keen eye on what's happening in the NFT gaming aspect, what happens and is happening with Axie Infinity, and along with that, a ton of just gaming projects that are really starting to move in the space. As we see Bitcoin go through what was a market retracement, mainly due to our inflationary numbers that got released, the whales being whales got in there and took some big bites. And of course, I think that is affecting the market in general. But the one area that seems to continue to grow and continue to get interest and gain interest is the metaverse and how gaming will be such an important part of this. I wanted to pull a story up. This story, I want to just kind of give you the date of why this matters. This is a 3-year-old story around why is Asia Pacific's blockchain industry growing so fast. Now, there was a lot to this, but the big category is, I thought, was the fact that they were still looking at very small growth elements. 545 million in the market at the time. 2017, this is back, as I said, 3 years ago, grew by 50%, and it also brought about $1 billion in investments. Now, this again is way before many of the projects that really got launched in Asia and has continued to launch in Asia, especially around blockchain. There's a lot of unique elements around launching a blockchain and or a gaming company in Asia for the Asian market. If you're going to publish it there, you've got to have, in essence, a presence there. So that in itself starts to change the dynamic of how a lot of these companies are going to produce and publish projects. But I want to go through some of the data here on Asia Pacific. I want you guys to be very, very keen on why this market is going to be a key market for the growth of blockchain gaming, NFTs, and really, I think maybe the universe of gaming overall will be centered around what's happening in Asia. So 51% of global browser game market size right now, that's Asia Pacific. They control that much of it. Of course, you've got all the browser games right here. Let's just look at that group right there. Sony, Sega, Peak Games, Electronic Arts, Arcadium, Playdom. As you can see, Riot Games, etc. Really moving heavily into the space of trying to go after these Asian markets, which I think is going to be, as I said, the real gems to watch. Here's another press release coming in from Research and Markets. The worldwide mobile gaming industry expected to reach, get this, $420 billion by 2026. This, of course, is still yet to truly see the expansion of where Gen Z is moving, because Gen Z essentially is going to be, and is already, the population and demographic that will be the one that enters into blockchain gaming and also into crypto and play to earn. Think about this. The millennials ushered in the internet, Web 2.0. The Gen Z or Gen X's ushered in the creation of the internet. You think about those two demographics and what the impact they had on technology, and then step back and look at where Gen Z is going and where they are going to go with both mobile and gaming. This is where the money is going to be made in blockchain. And many people are talking about this, the market forecast from 2021 to 2026. Again, here, mobile gaming market valued at $94 billion in 2019. Now up 23.5% overall, and now the market size of $420 billion. And this is literally a 4x of growth, and this is by 2026. This is just around the corner of where a lot of this is going. And remember, crypto in general, we've got a cycle coming up on us. This is going to be, I think, a very interesting period of time in this bear cycle of a lot of companies, one, moving very quickly in terms of acquiring new capital, repositioning their brands, and getting ready for the next halving, because the halving on Bitcoin is essentially going to drive the markets around everything else in blockchain, and again bring heavy awareness into the space. Here's just another example, gaming industry and Asia Pacific statistics and facts. This is coming over from Statistica. If you guys haven't been there, you should check it out, Statista. An industry predicted worth more than 170 billion US. This is 2021, Asia Pacific region. Let me kind of zoom in on that for you. Top contender for years. Number of video gamers approaching 3 billion globally, as Asia Pacific is responsible for over half of this market share. So you look at that, and then you look at the Chinese video game industry keeps breaking its record, and it's doubled itself in 5 years. Japan, the homing gaming to such giants as Nintendo, Namco brands, etc. And then you've got places like Hong Kong, which is, of course, the home of Animokoa, which is, as we know, the big beast in the room being Sandbox. So Sandbox and Roblox, which is really the focus of today's video, looks to be on a very interesting track to unify, I think, in essence, to become a head-to-head product. Now, Sandbox still very small in comparison to, say, a Roblox, or even in general, if you look at the other gaming titans out there. But there's a lot of opportunity here for markets to really shift, and it's much like the early gaming titans and how Nintendo was able to get such a stranglehold on the market, and also, in essence, how Roblox, whether you like it or don't, has been able to position well. And I know they took a lot of money, and I get that. Of course, we saw the big jump this week. Again, they are still considered a metaverse brand, much like what Sandbox is going to. So I look at these two projects and the fact that we're seeing so much growth in the Asian markets, so much growth in Gen Z and where this is going, and then play to earn. It seems like the perfect storm is brewing. So we'll continue just to kind of run down the elements here. Here's Gen Z, Pacific Gen, Asia Pacific's Gen Z, and why they're different. Born 1996 to 2012. Zoom in on that. 2025, the group will make up a quarter of the Asia Pacific population. Same millennials born 80 to 95, as Gen Z's mature, will make and spend more money, although Gen Z's share more qualities than millennials. It's wrong to think that simply a younger version of Gen Z has its own unique characteristics. The big thing I think that a lot of people look at for Gen Z, and even though millennials, to a certain extent, I would say, are digital natives, Gen Z has a different viewpoint of how they're going to move forward. One is going to be mobile. Two is I think the understanding and accepting of Gen Z into where blockchain is going. And that's where I think play to earn is going to be the thing. So lots of cool stuff happening here. I have a Gen Z myself, and he continues to surprise me in terms of the things he's interested in. So I know that these kind of trends are really starting to go globally, but Asia Pacific, I think, is going to be the core for where this is going. So back to the point here, again, more data on this. Largest market right now, gaming market, growth trends. This is the impact between 21 and 26. And you look here, this is fastest growing market, Middle East and Africa, but largest market, Asia Pacific. Let me zoom in on that right there. Asia Pacific, again, huge in comparison. If you look at the growth comparison from 2021 to 2026 and where that's going. Let me show you some market overview data here also, which is kind of interesting. Global gaming market, we've talked to, we had a 176, here's a 173 billion. This was in 2020, and it's expected to reach value of 314 on 2026. Again, more data coming in. Lots of variations here, though, between the data sets. So I think the studies that are coming out, the question is, we know it's going up. The question is where is the big growth going to be coming from? So you've got companies like Microsoft, Nintendo, Twitch, Activision, etc. All of these are reporting and moving heavy into the space. And again, cloud gaming is the emerging technology across the industry that is going to obviously allow users to do everything from streaming, but also in the essence of really entering the blockchain space. So with all that being said, and you understand, all this movement is happening, and then you have Gen Z's, gamers, shaking up media and entertainment industries. This is kind of changing the way behavioral use of even the internet as we know it. Think Web 2.0 and Web 3.0 is literally maturing at the time that the Gen Zs are moving into the space. So that in itself, I think, is setting up the industry, and when I say the industry, really anything that's digital in media, gaming, entertainment is essentially going to move to the blockchain. And that aspect is, who are the gaming companies, who are the players that would start to position in the metaverse and really understand this new evolution of consumer that essentially is moving and shifting to that. So that is itself. Here's another quick topic: metaverse games giants Roblox being listed as a metaverse, and Naver compete to attract Koreans Gen Z. Korea, of course, is another major market for that, but basically this is the whole scenario of where Roblox is starting to move. So South Korea's metaverse gaming market is about to heat up. 3D avatar platform Zepeto rolling out the game development tool for its users alongside global metaverse giant Roblox, so they're going head to head. And you've got Naver, which is already in there, affiliate platform, plans to introduce game building on Zepeto within a year. Current users can play basic games, etc. But you can kind of see already metaverse, this is all lining up to become a battle zone, I think, in essence, of major companies truly going this. Now, the thing that's missing here are the traditional game makers. And my question is, and we've had this conversation with many people in the metaverse that are building on NFT and NFT gaming platforms that talk about the original game makers and what their role is going to be in the future. Now, many people still look to the major titans. It's just a matter of time before they truly roll into the metaverse and develop play to earn and or other aspects of the game that eventually will roll out. All that is still moving in that direction, but Roblox is actually going that direction right now. Now, again, I wouldn't put them maybe in the the level or the sphere of, say, a Microsoft or a Nintendo, but definitely a up-and-comer in terms of how growth is going to happen and where it's going to happen from. They get it. They understand Asia Pacific. They understand why that market is exploding. And especially they understand how the metaverse is going to be growing in a big way. So here's some Roblox statistics, just to give you an example. 43.2 million daily active users. That's up 14 million daily active users. This was in 2016. This was 9.5 million developers on the Roblox. So you're going to continue to see that. So my point with this is, how can they transition this baseline of developers and baseline of users into the metaverse in a way that blockchain will be involved in a big way? Because Roblox, remember, is building on Web 2.0. And Web 2.0 is, to a certain extent, a little bit, I won't say behind, but there's a little bit of a learning curve there, both for the tech stack and the developers that are moving that direction. All of that does play into it as to whether or not a game and or any company can become successful in blockchain, especially when it comes to the metaverse. So lots happening there. Last thing I wanted to touch on here is how and what this means overall. So more firms embracing the metaverse and gaming. Stocks have already benefited. This is Morgan Stanley starting to identify this. So metaverse does not exist yet, but it's in the purest form of where this development is happening. So if you could just imagine if you had been at the era in which Xbox was being created, that Nintendo was being created, that these kinds of companies that have really kind of evolved over a very short period of time in what was Web 2.0 and what that might look like for Web 3.0. So here's some good examples of this. Metaverse is important because it fundamentally is going to change the medium through which we socialize with others, watch music, engage with fashion brands, learn, speculate. All that is in, and again, coming from a Morgan Stanley analyst. So to me, I think this is, I'm always concerned about Wall Street truly understanding what this means to both technology, but also what it means to cryptocurrency, what it means to blockchain technology, and really what it means to consumer consumption of both media and also just the way we are going to interact in real life and in the metaverse at one point in time. I hope that we get a chance to truly see this develop faster than what I think it's going to take, because that is the one thing that I am concerned. But the point is you're going to be able to make a ton of money on a lot of these projects. We're not really giving you guys any investment advice. We're just kind of painting a picture for you to understand the projects you should be watching, where you should be watching them from, and then also the companies that are involved around it. As I said, remember, Anamcoa Brands, This is a Hong Kong-based company, the operator and developer of Sandbox. You've got Roblox, a US-based company, moving quickly into the Asian markets, and all of this coming in to play. So let's take a look quickly at Roblox just to kind of, and you'll notice here why Roblox stock is up 26% this week. The metaverse company reported stellar Q3 earnings. Here's what happened, 26% this week according to this new S&P data. And then on November 8th, they announced the Q3 earnings, which were up 28% year over year to $637 million. Not a ton when you think about, in general, some of the big tech companies that are moving in this space. But for it to go up 28% year over year, and it's just getting started, big jump, of course, in the stock price, and that's what happened. Also, the daily active users, this was another thing that jumped on how many people are getting attracted. Daily active were 47 million at the end of Q3, up 31% year over year. So people like this. This is going in the right direction. I would love to hear your comments and get your input on, because I'm sure many of you guys are out there researching blockchain gaming, NFT gaming, all of the aspects of what we're seeing really develop for our eyes. What projects do you like? And what companies do you think, from a much more ecosystem design, are going to make it through? Do you think we'll see a lot of Web 2.0 or traditional gaming companies truly moving into the space? Or do you think we're going to see, Axie, Sandbox, Mana, Decentraland, all of these really kind of take a position and lead the pack? Love to get your comments below and hit us up on that. Let's go to the charts now. Just to give you an idea of where Roblox is going, this was their nice little bump that they had. Their sentiment was running still very high. And of course, it did have an amplification identifier right here. And then the bump came with the Q3 earnings. So there was enough traffic out there in terms of the data that we select and study that kind of gave us a little bit of information on where this was going. And then right here, you've got a little bit of a drop after that initial spike this week, a little bit of a drop, and the sentiment repositioned back below. So that means we're probably going to see a little bit more sideways action on Roblox. But for those that were able to, listen, maybe you were back here in Roblox much further out. If you look at their 6-month run right here, not a lot. They're kind of getting back to their 6-month high. It actually broke through, but seems to be jumping right back at it right now, which is right there at 105, which is what they're trading at currently as the time of filming today. All right, and then let's take a look at Sandbox. That's the other one I think is going to be very interesting. Again, Sandbox we've been following for quite some time. We picked this zone right here. This was back in October. This had a 73 and a 74. The first time we noticed that Sandbox had flipped in terms of amplification, meaning amplification usually identifies an upward trend coming, and that's exactly what happened. Then we saw this parabolic move. We did not track this one. We were with it all the way as far as our data was based on the date that we did that video. That's one thing to remind you guys. When we do our videos, typically what we'll do is and today we're going to do that with Sandbox. We'll drop a video on a date. We'll go ahead and paint the forecast out based on what we see in our amplification data. If you look back at our performance on what we've done with the CPI, our crypto power index, it's been holding very, very accurately to the most part. Now, there are some times we miss a little bit on some of these, usually because there's something very unusual in terms of some sort of press release or some sort of product release that wasn't in the roadmap that is really people knew about, and then bam, you get a pop like Axie has done that on us a couple of times where we saw it going up, we just didn't see the parabolic moves. So back to the chart, obviously Sandbox had this nice run, this plateau, which really was the time in which a lot of people looked at, all right, is that it for Sandbox? Sentiment adjusted out, 73.97 right here. We pulled another one after this downturn right here. And as I've explained, but if you're new to the channel, we track sentiment usually in a downward trough like that, just like we did here and here and here. We'll always track in downward troughs, mainly because when a project is going down, it basically evacuates the air from the data, meaning what you're getting in terms of sentiment is purest. It's pure data in essence. It's only going to be people that are truly, and they're not trying to pump the coin instead they truly believe in the projects, they're out there talking about it, etc. Sharing information, usually there's a lot in the Discord side, a lot in crypto Twitter, etc. That's why it's important to always look at the bottom and then pull a sentiment credential, because that's when you're going to get the best sentiment data. And that's when, if we see amplification or continued rising of sentiment, even in downturns. So if you take a look at the chart, look at this. So you had the 73, then you had this nice trough right here, but it was a big, big move and was also the one that helped identify this big move right here. Then you had this a little bit of fall off, again, still holding though, 73, which was very similar to this right here. So that in itself tells me, all right, it's very consistent, it's holding, but it's not necessarily looking at a pop. And in fact, that was the case. We saw a little bit of a downward trend. We pulled another sentiment bubble right here. And this essentially is where we are right now. Now let's take a look at the overall of where this may go for Sandbox. So right now we're out here in the zone. Amplification is holding, but we've got a small flip occurring right here on this period. And this was November 10th when we pulled this. So this is an opportunity, I think. Most likely I'm going to look at this, but it does have a little bit of a trough right here that I'm a little concerned about that could cause a problem. This looks like next week. You know, if you look at the forecast here, potentially of where this could go, it's got some opportunity. Could it get up here to the 370 mark? That would be a stretch on the high outside. Based on amplification, that's kind of where the window is going for Sandbox. But this right here is still a big concern to me. And I always am a little bit worried about these kind of things when I see those things, where you see kind of bottoms fall out after a little bit of a sideways movement. But anyway, lots of yellow squigglies there. But the point is that Sandbox is definitely in a position to truly kind of make a name for themselves in the blockchain gaming. And I think we are going to see a lot of things happening in the both near to, when I say near future, meaning next 6 months, and also what we're going to see in the long-term future, next 2 to 3 years in blockchain gaming. So we're going to continue to cover a lot of this and really kind of track it, because I feel like cryptocurrency has evolved to a point now where we're starting to see use cases really become a use case. We're starting to see play to earn, which I think will be a bigger and bigger part of our society. And I think we're going to start seeing a lot of other projects learn from that application scenario and figure out how to do this in other real world scenarios that they're transitioning over either into the metaverse, or they're transitioning just from Web 2.0 to Web 3 and they need a revenue model or something like that. And that's when all these other projects are going to start making sense that you will get a chance to see. Again, we continue to report on this. I'd love to get your notes if you want to hear more altcoin news. Maybe you'd like to see more projects around gaming, NFTs, or are you really interested in the blue chips? And that is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the big, high cap alts, Solana, etc., XRP. Put your comments in the notes below. We'd love to get your feedback, and it really helps us kind of direct the channel and give you guys as much research as we can and pour it in to the channel here for you guys, hopefully, that helps you make some cool plays on your research and getting you going the right direction. All right, you're listening in over the podcast. Thank you so much. We love your feedback over there, but YouTube is the place. You got to come over here and, of course, subscribe and join the Diamond Circle. It's the #1 thing you can do here with our channel and become part of the circle, because it is a family and it's also a great opportunity for you guys to get not only education and information, inside data that we're doing, but also we're going to be dropping and continue to drop more and more rewards to you as a thank you for, of course, being part of the circle. If you guys want to meet me, of course, you can always hit me up on Twitter. It's @Paul Barron. And I'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.